A massive shift at BYU. A big day if you are a Big 12 fan, if you are a BYU fan. And frankly, we have to talk about the University of Utah's role and the implications of Kalani Sitake is staying at BYU, as we have been first and out in front with the details. And I do not mind patting myself on the back on it because nobody else is going to do it for us. We told you yesterday the inside inner workings of what was happening with Kalani Sitake and BYU, juxtaposed to Penn State's efforts to hire Kalani Sitake to be the new football coach at Penn State, which we have to talk about. But most importantly, Kalani Sitake phoned Penn State today, and he did it personally, I am told, according to sources close to the situation. Kalani Sitake, it's no surprise to anybody that knows of or about or has been around Kalani. He's a very personal guy, a very one-to-one guy. He called Penn State today to let them know he is not going to be taking the job at Penn State, that he is staying at BYU. And there's a lot in that statement. Kalani Sitake is staying at BYU. How did we get here? Well, for about the last year, there has been significant, I don't know if I would say friction, but it is built to friction the last probably 90 days, which opened a window or some availability for Kalani Sitake to have these conversations. But there has been some frustration mounting post Tom Holmoe, the legendary athlete, football player, and then administrator, the athletic director at BYU, who really guided BYU athletics through independence. Tom Holmoe retired. Brian Santiago took over, and it was just never comfortable. It never felt exactly right for Kalani Sitake, and I should say many others in the athletic department, including basketball. But I think what you're seeing now is the growth of BYU football, because I am told that Kalani Sitake and Brian Santiago, the athletic director at BYU, got in a room and had a very frank discussions about their differences. And they were able to air that out in what was a long conversation today, and essentially came to an understanding. And actually, I'm told that conversation was yesterday, late in the day, but came to an understanding about the management structure of the football department. Sources close to the situation tell me that Kalani Sitake left that meeting with the confidence that he would be able to run his football department the way that he needed to, because one of the frustrations has been that there's not been mobility. And the analogy that was given to me, and I talked about it yesterday on the show, hey, when the football department needs a new Gatorade jug, it's got to go through 4 layers of management. Well, not anymore. I am told today that Kalani Sitake has full control of his budget and the administration of that budget. I am also told that Kalani Sitake is going to be signing a deal at BYU in the coming hours that will pay him $9 million a year, and total football compensation for the coaching staff will be $18 million a year. Now, why is that significant? Because BYU does not talk about money. BYU has never spoken about money. It is something they do not do. They are an institution of faith. They are a private institution. They go out of their way to keep their finances and their books closed from prying eyes. So it's very interesting that not one, but multiple sources at BYU were more than happy to confirm details of these conversations and these numbers, to let it be known that BYU is not on the cheap when it comes to paying Kalani Sitake in the football department. That I was told, and I had the numbers that have now been nationally confirmed. We had them here first on the show yesterday. Kalani Sitake, less than a year ago, right? It was actually 360 days ago. I looked last night. It was December 7th. An extension was announced last year. Kalani went from $4 million a year to $6.5 million a year. Now he's going from $6.5 million to $9 million a year. That is a big jump. But the biggest details here are Kalani's staff is taken care of, as we reported yesterday. His coordinators and their staff all the way down, everybody is going to be compensated, which has been a point of conversation. I would be very cautious to anybody telling you that, or anybody reporting that Kalani was fighting singularly for his staff, and that is That was not the biggest issue. It was always assumed if you were going to keep Kalani Sitake as the head football coach at BYU, you were going to pay his staff or he was not going to be the head football coach at BYU. And I don't think BYU, from what I understand and how I have read it, BYU has never fought about paying his staff, not for a second. The fight has been, what is Brian Santiago's role and others in the business end of things at BYU? What is their role and how business is done in the football department at BYU? And if my sources are correct in Provo, they have no role. Brian Santiago has a voice. He is not the singular voice. That voice is Kalani Sitake now. As the athletic director, of course, Brian Santiago is a key cog in that as long as he is the athletic director. But Kalani Sitake doesn't have to go ask to buy a new Gatorade bucket anymore. He doesn't have to wait for a stamp on a purchase order. That's his decision, and it's his budget to administer. Him and his staff now have the authority to run football. Jake, I think this is and I'm not trying to be sensational. I think this is a transformative moment. This is a situation where Kalani Sitake had a written contract on his desk from Penn State. Penn State last week flew to Provo to present Kalani Sitake with an offer in person. Again, I am told point blank, Kalani Sitake never flew to Penn State. He never went to Penn State to interview, talk to, meet. None of that ever happened. Kalani Sitake, I was told point blank by multiple sources today, never on a single occasion told Penn State he was taking the job. He and his representatives told Penn State were interested in the job, and those conversations progressed. But at no time did Kalani go to Penn State, and at no time did he ever accept an offer from Penn State. So it is not like he took a job and then turned around and backed away from it. What Kalani Sitake did, according to my sources, is he got an offer from Penn State, and he used that offer to build the management structure of the BYU football department that had been lacking. And Jake, I think it's a stroke of brilliance by Kalani Sitake.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's great on both sides. You know, I think that Kalani is someone who is a perfect fit for the BYU job, and I think that he's always been about taking care of his people. But I also think that, you know, at some point, if you're going to be this big time program, you know, your head coach has to have more of a say than what call, you know, is being sent into the huddle. You know, I mean, at some point, you know, you look around the country, and the biggest programs typically have a head coach and a GM, and those two work together to kind of, you know, create magic in your football department. I mean, that's typically how it works at big time programs. And so, you know, obviously BYU has gone through a bit of a renaissance here. Of course, getting into the Big 12 several seasons ago now was a massive deal. Obviously, you know, the now retired Tom Homo having a key contribution in getting Utah along with the Four Corner schools into the conference. You know, and now BYU's growth and I think BYU's ability to overcome losing key figures on their roster and still being good and still having a really strong resume for the CFP. So I think that BYU, as we discussed yesterday, was never in a position to tell Kalani Sitake to pound sand. I don't think anybody wanted to say that to Kalani Sitake. I think BYU wanted to retain him the whole time. And it was just about figuring out, again, this term we used yesterday, the red tape, right? It's like figuring out, hey, there's all these people that have a say, you know, all these people that have a voice, a contribution, all these people that want to say something. But ultimately, to have success, Kalani's got to have the final word. And you know, unfortunately, guys like Brian Santiago need to focus on athletic directing instead of running the football department. And I do feel like now that this has kind of come full circle, that maybe that was, you know, truly kind of the biggest thing is like, you know, your athletic director in any program overreaching or having a hand in things he shouldn't have a hand in, that can create problems. And so I'm glad that they got this worked out because I'll reiterate, I don't think there's another guy in the industry right now who is a better fit for BYU.
Well, and I'll just continue to tell you that Kalani has had, I believe this is his fourth opportunity to leave Provo. He has had major opportunities. If you count USC, Oregon, and Washington, now Penn State, that's four opportunities at four major institutions, and he has said no. repeatedly. One of the interesting parts of this, though, and I feel very confident based on the sourcing that we have, BYU has asked Kalani Sitake for guarantees that this will not be a repeating cycle. And the offset language in this contract, the buyout the first 3 years is going to be significant. It is going to make it very difficult to get Kalani Sitake out of Provo. If you want to hire him, it is going to take a Brinks truck. It is
But
going
isn't
to
that how
take.
it should be? Just not to interrupt you, but isn't that's how it should be? I feel like
I would agree.
Again, this concept of hey, Kalani, is this going to be the deal every single year? Well, it's been the deal every single year because you've been underpaying me and underpaying my staff, and now that's not the case, right? Now it would appear that everything's sort of on par and competitive with what everyone else at his level and stature are getting paid, and that's why I say I saw a bunch of people today kind of talking about this, about like buyout language. And, because obviously the whole concept of buying guys out has just been such a big deal this cycle. So I think Kalani deserves a big buyout. I think the guy is taking you places that you've never been. Like, he's done things for your football program that have never been done before. So
Yeah.
I not to interrupt, but I just want to set the record straight that this guy deserves the buyout. This guy deserves to have things that no one else has had. And that's important.
Yeah. And, listen, I'll tell you at Notre Dame, as many days as I've sat on this show criticizing Marcus Freeman, because obviously I'm a passionate Notre Dame fan, his buyout is significant. And he just signed an extension last year. And I think one of the things that BYU is trying to do is it was described to me as a hamster wheel every year. Oh, Kalani's up for another job. Kalani's up for another job. Hey, this is the way college football is. Well, BYU is a special and unique place, and they're not going to play the game that everybody else plays. And I think it's really important. They gave Kalani Sitake pretty much everything he asked for. There was some pretty strong conversations around, we don't want to do this again next fall. We don't want to go through this. And I think that's exactly the right way to handle it. Because if you're going to change, and trust me when I tell you, change for an institution like BYU is not fast, and it does not usually happen in 7 days. It happened in 7 days. It happened in a very compressed window where you had the president, the athletic director, and the administration above the president having to make tough, hard decisions like just right away. And that's not at all how this usually goes. So I give BYU a lot of credit for that. What I don't give BYU credit for is allowing this to get all the way to the conference championship. It's embarrassing if you are BYU to have your laundry hanging on the line in somebody else's backyard. And that's what this is. This is dirty laundry that never needed to be public. It's a mistake. It has been a distraction. Now, they got it done. It's Tuesday. It's 3:00 in the afternoon in the Mountain Time Zone. It's over now. It's done. It is quite literally going through lawyers who are writing up this deal to include the language that's required on both sides. I am told that once that is done, Kalani will sign that deal and this will be put to bed for 2 years minimum. And I think that's huge. There is no excuse that this got to conference championship Tuesday. It's inexcusable. It's unthinkable. It is bad business. It is bad football. It's why Kalani has, and I think this bite is so incredibly important, because what has Kalani Sitake said all week long? He has not wavered on this, not for one moment.
I have to address it because the world is small now and people can see stuff on social media and everything. And you guys do a great job at covering things. And so, yeah, I'll address it. But I also, they're used to me saying, hey, this is a good sign, that things are going well for us. But I will say that this isn't about me. What I've asked our team to do is to be focused on what we're trying to accomplish. There are marks of finishers, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to finish the season the right way and get after it. And it's required of us to be at our best to play against Texas Tech. So as we go through this week and go through the prep, I also want them to live through all the moments and have the great experience and not waste a moment thinking about anything else. So I've asked our team to be focused on on what we can control, and that's the right now we can control what we're doing as a team and not worry about all the distraction. This is a great distraction to have, let's be honest. But right now we need to be focused on making sure that we're giving our best shot in this game against Texas Tech.
He is wholly focused on a football game.
I mean, what else is there to say?
There's nothing else to say.
That's what he should say. That's the right answer. And he's not wavered. He's not like we're going to talk about later in the show why everyone hates Lane Kiffin, right? And this whole Lane Kiffin thing and, just all that cesspool of drama. But if we're going to have a cesspool of drama around Lane Kiffin, shouldn't there also be like a pot of people being like, hey, Kalani, ton of credit, dude. You stayed at BYU. You got your people paid. You got a raise. You got more control. Like, there should be a lot of credit given to what Kalani's done here, because we're so quick to say, oh, well, he left, or, he didn't care about any of the people there. Like, he's leaving for greener pastures. Okay, well, then you got a guy here who's not leaving for greener pastures, says that this is his dream job, treats it like it's his dream job. Like, the guy should get more credit than I feel like he's getting. And I wish
he's 83-44 at BYU. And in 7 bowl games, he's 5-2. And for 2 straight years, he's had this team on the precipice of a conference championship and a bid in the college football playoff. And I think it will tonight, when the rankings come out, we'll find out if they're going to get in or not. But I am telling you right now that Kalani Sitake has earned the moment. Kalani Sitake has earned the stage. And of the 4,000 of you watching the show right now, I'm curious. I'm curious your thoughts on how this impacts the Big 12, because if you lose Kalani Sitake, you lost Jay Hill. I think if you'd have lost Kalani Sitake, I think you'd have lost 3-4 members of his staff at BYU at a minimum. And I think you would have lost probably 5 members of the Utah Utes football staff who would have gone to Penn State with Kalani. Because don't forget, he's got there. If Kalani Sitake is nothing, he is a maker of relationships, because he is a 4-star human being. The guy is everything that you want somebody to be. And I think this would have gutted. I think this would have gutted BYU and gutted Utah. I think this would have been seismic for the Big 12. It would have been a loss that you cannot even fathom. And as much pain and consternation went into watching Bronco Mendenhall walk out the door, you would have no idea the absolute deflation and it would have been a crushing blow beyond measure for BYU fans.
Yeah.
And as many BYU fans as are on this show, I think you're all aware, you could easily be Oak State. You could easily be Baylor today. You could easily be Arkansas today. You could easily be a team that does not care about football, that does not honor men, that does not have the right people in place. But instead, I think it's incredible that BYU moved mountains to make this happen. It's wild to me. And this is not a school. This is not a coach. This is not a system where you talk about, hey, this guy's taking a pay cut so we can afford NIL, and look at my best players taking pay. You don't hear that. You don't hear that. And I think that's why Kalani Sitake is so important. Beyond the fact he wins football games, he makes men, he's great for your community, he's great. He just is good people. You don't hear about him. You don't hear about DUIs on the coaching staff. You don't hear about any of this. You look at the Jake Retzloff situation. Have we heard word one from BYU on that? No. Have they talked about how much they miss him? No. Have they talked about? No. Have they? No. They just moved on. And you know that they talked about it behind closed doors. You know that they hurt for their guy, Jake Retzloff, behind closed doors. Because I guarantee you, Kalani and Jake Retzloff had tears and emotions when they said goodbye to each other. But Listen to what Jake Retzloff has said about Kalani and BYU. I love that. Those are my brothers. I love that guy. I love those people. I love that place. That's what BYU would have lost. I think it's huge.
Yeah.
Aggie, if we lose Kalani, we would have lost a decade of progress and set us back even worse irrelevance. All the progress in a P4 would have been diminished without Kalani or Holmo, because I don't know who would have. You would have hoped it would have been Jay Hill, right?
I guess.
Because remember the circumstances at BYU. You have to be a card-carrying member of the church, right? So you have to have a recommend, and you have to be in good standing in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
God bless.
And that's extraordinarily difficult to find, right? So who are the candidates? Jay Hill, your defensive coordinator? That'd be the guy. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you calling Kyle Whittingham and saying, hey, I know you're retired, but
nah,
you're not doing that, right?
No.
Like, you're just not doing that. I think Jay Hill would have had to have been the guy. And I think if Kalani would have left, it would have been for not great reasons. And I don't think Jay Hill would have stayed. I truly do not.
And I think the hard part is it's not necessarily like the point is not whether or not Jay would have stayed or left. Right. The point is that you at BYU don't have access to the same coaching pool that everyone else has access to because of some rules and standards. Right. And I think that that's what is difficult here. There's more on the line for BYU losing Kalani than there is for, Iowa State losing Matt Campbell. Right. Or
100%.
Iowa losing Ferentz or whoever you want to point to. Like
100%.
I just think that there was never a world where Kalani Sitake was seriously, in his heart of hearts wanting to leave BYU. I agree that Kalani has shown an ability to leverage open opportunities to get more money and in this case garner more control. And
right.
I don't blame him for that. The people that are criticizing Kalani for, doing this year after year, well, maybe put him in a position where he doesn't have to do this year after year. Maybe put him in a position where he doesn't feel the need to have to do it. Because again, I'm just going to keep pointing it out. Like, look at BYU's resume. Look at who they've beaten. Look at the job that he's done. Again, this Texas Tech game, given everything that's gone on this week, couldn't have more importance for BYU at this point.
Right.
Like I would go out on a limb and say this game is twice as important for Kalani Sitake than it is for Joey McGuire, even with Joey McGuire getting his extension today. I think that Kalani Sitake needs to get this program with where it is right now, with everything that they've been through, to the CFP. That has to happen. I don't think that the Tech game is any longer about winning the Big 12. The Tech game is about getting to the CFP, because if you lose that game, you're not going to the CFP. Ain't no way about it. If you win that game, you obviously are guaranteed a spot in. And that for me is where I say all this drama early in the week, right? All the contract drama, Penn State, yada, yada, yada. Go out and win the game. Like, prove the haters wrong. I didn't check the number today, but I believe you were a 13.5-point dog yesterday. Like,
Still.
It's just, it just go out and prove the world wrong, and then we can have a real conversation about where BYU stands. That's what has to happen.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a massive, massive moment. And if you lose this game, and this is just my opinion, if you lose this game Saturday, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. And you are going to lose this game, because I think it's going to be a significantly better game, but there's a reason you're 12.5. And this game's not in your backyard. This game's in Dallas. Excuse me, in Tarrant County, boy. This is going to be a tough game, and I am wholly leaning Texas Tech. But it's going to be interesting to see. And David Persons, this becomes now the single biggest question. Where does Penn State go? I was told point blank last night that Brian Hartline is not. It would take a massive contract to get Brian Hartline to become the next head coach at Penn State. That he views them as a significant rival. I think he does not want to work with Jim Knowles, and Penn State has let it be known that Jim Knowles is the guy they want to be the defensive coordinator there. And I think that it's going to be difficult to get Brian Hartline to leave Penn State to go be a competitor. I think that's a huge, huge problem. And I think it's going to be a very dark time for Penn State football. And I tried to explain this to the Penn State folks that were in the chat yesterday. A guy like Brian Hartline, if you're Brian Hartline and Ryan Day has done for Brian Hartline more than anybody could even have imagined. The support, the tutelage, the mentoring, the opportunities. He has stood with Brian Hartline. He has taught Brian Hartline. They came through that system essentially together. You're not going to leave there. I was told it's unthinkable that Brian Hartline would leave Ohio State and go be the head coach at Penn State.
I don't know why you would leave. Not just for Penn State. Like, he's never going to go to Penn State because it's Penn State. But, like, why would you leave the opportunity right in front of you? You are the Morgan Scalley of Ohio State. You are the head coach in waiting. You are the second in command. Why would you leave?
I think that Ryan Day would give his blessing if, again, I think Iowa State would be the perfect training ground. But make no mistake about it, the next head coach at Ohio State is going to be Brian Hartline. I have heard that repeatedly. You are not going to leave Ohio State to be the head coach at Penn State and then think that that's going to be okay in Ohio State circles, because it's not. I don't think anybody questions the ability of Brian Hartline to be a really good coach. I don't think anybody at Penn State wants, or I don't think anybody at Ohio State wants anything to do with Brian Hartline being the head coach at Penn State, including Brian Hartline.
Yeah, and I just don't think that that's how it works, man. I don't think that guys, in the football world, with how small it is, you're not going to go from being number 2 and close confidant to Ryan Day to taking a Penn State job where it's just not like, I work hard not to be harsh, but it's just not a great job. Like, it's a job for, alumni. It's a job for someone who maybe went there and like has the pedigree and understands the culture there. But this is not a job for just, Joe Schmo assistant coach off the street. Like, you are entering territory at Penn State where I would venture a guess that they probably have some regret over the way they handled James Franklin. I would guess, given the fact that
stop there for a second. Do you believe, because I said yesterday that I think that there's a blacklist now, and I think Penn State's on it. And then Todd McShay, like 2 hours later, put out a video, and I honestly haven't seen the video, but I've seen the headlines where 2 hours after I said that, Todd McShay said Jimmy Sexton is blocking any of his clients from even interviewing for that job. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that Jimmy Sexton, is always evaluating the market and always evaluating opportunities, and damn well knows that any of his current clients that would go to Penn State are not better for it, right? Because that's the issue. If you're going to take a head coaching job, you need to be in a place where you're like, yeah, if I take this job and it flames, I'm still better for it, right? So if I go to LSU and it flames and I don't win 3 national championships in the next decade, I'm still better for it. I can still say that, hey, I went to the CFP with LSU. I had Ole Miss on the doorstep. Okay, it makes a lot of sense. I understand it. Okay, cool. But you can't really say that about Penn State. You can't say that about a program where they've had the drama they've had. You can't. I'm telling you, Penn State fan will never be accountable to the fact that all that stuff that went down under Joe Pa and all those guys, everything that they did eviscerated any credibility that program will ever have. And again, You're just sitting here getting rid of a guy who was like-minded with you and had you on the doorstep every year because you thought you were like super coveted. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to send my client there either, man. And I don't know that Jimmy's got it on a piece of paper or a Google Doc, but it's definitely on his mind, dude. It's definitely him saying, "Hey, like I'm looking at the premier jobs in football. I'm looking at Texas, hell, I would even venture that he'd probably consider Michigan before he'd consider Penn State for some of his clients. And I think Michigan's even right now a pretty mediocre job given everything going on with the punishments and just the recruiting cycle. It's not a very green job right now. So I don't know, man. If you're Jimmy Sexton and you've got a guy on a 2-year contract with a pretty minimal buyout that's looking pretty nice for next cycle, are you not sitting here saying, yeah, Norvell's probably going to get bounced out of Florida State here in about two seasons at most? Shocking he's not already bounced. What about Dabo, right? What about Lincoln at USC? There are jobs on the horizon. Why would I send my client to Penn State? I wouldn't. Doesn't make sense.
I would agree with that, except to say I think it's one of those things where I don't know how if you are Jimmy Sexton, I don't know how you reconcile this. That's the thing that I don't understand how you reconcile it. And I want to understand that. I don't know that you, because
when you say reconcile it, what does that mean?
Do you believe that it is good business? Do you believe it is good business to keep your clients from taking the Penn State job if you're an agent? I don't know that I think that's good business. I don't know that I think that's good business. I really don't. Am I wrong about that? I mean, I guess I could be wrong about that, but
well, it depends on the client. It depends on who your client is. I mean, Jimmy Sexton represents the best of the best. Jimmy Sexton is a top dog in the industry.
He does.
There's a reason that Governor Landry tried to fight him and lost. And I think that Jimmy, listen, man, Jimmy is out for Jimmy. And Jimmy is a guy that's going to get his boys paid, and I respect that. I respect that at a really high level. At the same time, as an agent, if you want to be successful in an industry where you're representing people, you have to be known and have a reputation for getting people the best result possible every single time. And that's why you have Lane Kiffin saying things like, I don't even know my contract. Jimmy knows my contract. I don't know my contract. I'm not doing this for money. Damn well knowing you're getting paid as much as Ryan Day. But I'm not doing this for money, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing this for the opportunity. But that's because what he's not saying is that's because I have faith and trust in Jimmy and his team to get a job done. And that's what it is. So I don't think it's bad business for Jimmy Sexton to blacklist Penn State. Now, are you talking about mid-level agent with mid-level clientele? Okay, that's a different story, dude. That's a different story, man. Like, if you're a candidate that maybe is going to get fired out of the Big 12, if you're a candidate that's about to get whacked out of the ACC, Penn State's looking pretty nice for your resume right now.
Well, and I said yesterday that the head scratcher at Penn State is Bob Chesney. Because, and I think I said this, that I thought it was between Penn State and UCLA.
For Chesney.
Obviously, for Bob Chesney. It was between Penn State and UCLA. He was going to take one of those two offers. He did not want to go to Florida because apparently the situation in Florida is really awkward, but is what it is. He by some reports, never even interviewed with Penn State. Never interviewed with Penn State. A Pennsylvania guy never even interviewed with Penn State. Bob Chesney took UCLA over Penn State from a guy that's from Pennsylvania. That doesn't math to me. And I think that when you look at somebody like, I mean, now, of course, Penn State fan is going to panic and say, well, Terry Smith's our guy. I mean, Terry Smith's not your guy. And if Terry Smith's your guy, you're in real trouble. Because I also said on the show yesterday, and one of our viewers brought it up, but Brett Bielema pulled his name out of that candidacy. And I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't think Brett Bielema is a Jimmy Sexton client. And there
He's
is
not.
a belief in the coaching fraternity. There is a belief that you don't take that job right now. If you're a sitting head coach, you do not go and take the Penn State job. They're not going to stand in the way of a coordinator taking that job. But if you are a sitting head coach, you do not go and take that job. That is, somebody said that to me today, and you know what? It actually makes a hell of a lot of sense. And I think, and I guess I try and I want to understand this. Penn State's a better job than UCLA. It's a better job. The NIL money is going to be even. But again, the recruiting talent, the high school recruiting talent. And I will die on this hill. I talked to a former football coach today who watched the show yesterday and reached out to me about what I said about Lane Kiffin and the LSU job, which was Lane Kiffin took the LSU job over the Ole Miss job because he has access to the elites of the elites. And what on day 1.5, what did we see Lane Kiffin doing? Standing in the facility with the number one football recruit in the country.
Yeah.
Because you have access. At UCLA, you have access. The best talent's going to go to USC. At Penn State, if you're the head coach at Penn State and you walk into somebody's living room, they're going to listen. You have access to the best high school football players regionally and nationally. You're Penn State. The problem is now you can't get a sitting head coach to take that job. And I think they're going to wind up, my honest opinion is they wind up with Brian Daboll. Because I don't think anybody wants, I mean, if you look at the best available coaches, it's not Brian Daboll. It was, again, I'll keep saying it, it was Bob Chesney. He was the best available guy. He was there for you. And now he's at UCLA. And I just don't know any other way that maths other than if you are a sitting head coach, you are not allowed to take that job. And I think Kalani, I don't know if Kalani's I can tell you he's not in those circles. You're not going to call Kalani Sitake and be like, hey, bud, you can't take that job. It's on the blacklist. You're not doing that. But I think that there could be some credence to what Todd McShay's reporting. Because I'm really surprised it's not Chesney. It should have been Chesney. And I know you hated him from the beginning.
Well, I don't hate, dude. But what I will say is that
you don't hate him.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, my concern with Chesney, and this is also my concern with Sumrall, is that yes, you've done it at the Group of 5 level. Yes, you have, and you are young and you are great at recruiting, and you're seemingly really good at the job. I don't doubt your ability level, but my main thing was, hey, like, especially, and this was especially relevant when Matt Rule was still in the mix, when Matt Campbell was still in the mix, right? When theoretically, the Dan Lannings of the world were still in the mix. Like they've had, again, I've always said, hey, if those guys are available, Bob Chesney and John Sumrall are not the best candidates on the market. But as you've lost and lost and lost and lost and lost and lost and missed and missed and missed and missed, well, now all of a sudden Bob Chesney looks pretty attractive. With all due respect to Bob, right? Like, I think he's going to do a great job at UCLA. Absolutely. And if it was me, right? Like, yes, obviously Penn State has the CFP, credibility, and obviously they're a championship level program.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, again, I think it does definitely matter that you're on the East Coast in a crappy climate. When you're competing with LA, I think that matters, dude. People like warm and 70, man. Absolutely. I think that matters. So, is there a blacklist? Yeah, but Penn State's done a hell of a lot to put themselves on that list, man. Like, it's not some just, man, I have to coach at Penn State.
So you think they mishandled James Franklin?
Yeah, I think that James Franklin won a hell of a lot of games. Now, again, I'm with everybody. I agree with everybody who said, and we talked about it. Hey, the record against top 10, the record against, AP top 25 opponents is trash. I agree with that. At the same time, though, you were getting really good talent. You were competing. You were playing in a lot of games. The building was full. The program was healthy. You got spoiled on the level that you were at, and you wanted more.
Yes.
Okay, I'm okay with that. But if you're going to fire him, you damn well better have his replacement lined up the way, I don't know, Ole Miss did. Like, that's their mistake here, is that you were hot to trot. You lost to Oregon. Then you lost a couple more games. And it was like, oh, we got to fire him. Yeah, but dude, who are you going to go and get? Like, money is one thing, but you grossly underestimated people's desire to coach at your school.
Yeah,
and now you're dealing with it.
I just think that it is tough to reconcile. And Marcus is making this point. Our TV executive, Marcus, who watches the show, is making this point. What did you do for the last 3 months? Because you didn't fire James Franklin the day you decided to fire James Franklin. It's December 2nd. You probably decided if he loses the Oregon game. Okay,
well, the sentiment for firing him has been, 2 years in the making? I mean, people have been talking about that for how long?
But yeah, I mean, you fired this guy months ago now, and you didn't have Matt Rule in your pocket?
How?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it is.
So now the narrative of, hey, Jimmy's got you on a blacklist. I
think Penn State handled the James Franklin thing. You should never have fired him in the middle of the season. Now, why did you do that? Well, you were worried about portal. You were worried about national. Okay, I totally understand all the bullshit that goes with college football now. I totally get it. But what I am telling you is you should have handled it better somehow, some way. What does that look like? Hell, I don't even know. Because if you're getting on Jimmy Sexton's bad side, you didn't handle it how you probably should have handled it. And you know how I know that? Because now you don't have a head coach. That's how I know that Penn State has screwed this up. And I'm not telling you that Penn State's a bad job. It is simply now a toxic situation. And that's the hard part, right? Like, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. And I don't know. I have to think Penn State thought that they were going to be LSU, Florida, one of the best jobs. Everybody was going to be knocking down the door. And that's just not how it's going to be. Well, Phenomenal Hebrew, you may think that's stupid, but the way you handled James Franklin clearly had a ripple effect. Listen, I don't, not to interrupt you, but I am not a fan of Penn State. I think that is very clear if you've watched this show, right? The Knuckle Deep Boys, like, hey, listen, you should have been the third best job. I would have expected LSU to get Lane Kiffin. I would have expected Florida to get Summerall, who I thought was going to go to Auburn, but Florida to be number 2. And then I would have thought Penn State would have had a guy right after that. And now it's December 2nd and you still don't have a guy. And the way that you acted, the way you handled James Franklin does kind of make sense. You put yourself on that list, if there is a list. The Sparky Watts, 12-1 with a terrible strength of schedule after beating Penn State. Okay. I mean,
I would also point out to this Penn State blacklist thing, it's not helping you that seemingly yesterday on Twitter, the CEO of Crumble got off the couch and started getting the checkbook out. And now today, Kalani Sitake is staying at BYU. So the optics are that you got outbid by Crumble's CEO and the boosters at BYU when you claim to be a championship caliber program and claim to be willing to do anything it takes to go and get your guy. So I'm just saying,
wait. So you buy into the idea that the Crumble CEO played a role in keeping Kalani?
Yes, I do. I think that the Crumble CEO and the group of boosters, because I don't know this to be fact, but I just know how people work in Provo. We've spent a ton of time in Salt Lake. Like, we know that crowd a little bit. Dude, when you've got guys like that getting active on Twitter in the heat of the Kalani negotiation, and not only did he say, okay, there are certain people where we got to have them, it's time for me to get involved. And then you do another post after that talking about all the reasons you love Kalani. it tells me that not only are you trying to win it on social media, but you're calling all of your people, right? All the people that the CEO knows, and you're having all those people call Kalani and get in touch with them and show the love and say, hey, dude, like, we've got your back. We're going to support the hell out of you. We believe in you.
Do you feel like he was not respected?
What do you mean?
Do you feel like there was a lack of respect for Kalani Sitake then?
I feel like people probably just didn't realize that they needed to maybe do more. Like, Kalani's been there.
Granted.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, hey, Kalani's
interesting.
taking you to places you've never been. And now there's this juggernaut of sorts in Penn State, beating down the door to sign him. And you felt compelled to say, hold on a second. Like, we do value you. It's our opportunity to show that to you. Let's go ahead and get it going. And so now all of a sudden, Kalani's got the control he wants. He's got the money, and he's got the team. So I just don't think, with all due respect to Phenomenal Hebrew and Penn State Troll and all those dudes, you can be upset with what I'm saying. You can say that this is stupid commentary, but the reality is, whether you believe the booster thing or not, you got outbid by BYU at a minimum. At a minimum, BYU said, I'm going to pay him, and I'm going to give him the control he wants to retain him. That's the reality of it, dude. Like, we can sit here and get into minutia, right? Like, we can talk about, all the little red tape issues and all that, but at a minimum, if you rolled up to Kalani with a $15 million a year offer, that probably changes things, as ridiculous as that sounds. Like, how bad do you want to get out of this situation, dude? That's the question.
Yeah. Interesting. Pat.
Hey, Pat.
So on days like this, I do like to take my bow.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, who is a noted BYU alum, I'm not going to out his business, but he owns a major business in Salt Lake City. And he hates me. He hates this show. He has always fucking hated this show. But, well, one of the things he hates is that I curse, and I should stop. He said, Monty, I don't normally reach out directly on this app, LinkedIn. But I wanted to give you your quote unquote flowers today. As much as you and I disagree on most things that utter from your lips, thank you for that. You absolutely crushed the national media on this story, and I give you a lot of credit. I really disliked your show when you left K-Fan. I had become a daily listener, but then you and your kid became obnoxious about the Utah Jazz. And then when Rudy Gobert actually was traded, I started to listen more closely, and you've done it again with BYU and Kalani. You were way out front on this. Congratulations. I take back nothing I've ever said about you. Tell Jake to take off that damn vest.
Okay. All right.
All the best to you and yours. Happy New Year. Pat, I
appreciate that, bro.
I appreciate that, because Pat is a large, deep-pocketed individual who almost was an advertiser on this show. And Jake knows who I'm talking about, I think. And there were some things that happened.
Such as in, like?
And stuff. And then he wasn't an advertiser on the show. And so, Pat, I appreciate you reaching out and all that. Brandon Butler, a long time on the show. BK and Penn State. Do you mean God, that'd be so fitting. Penn State.
What choice do they have, dude?
Penn State deserves Brian Kelly.
Like, come on.
A match made in hell. Two great hates that can hate great together. Do you really think No. Is that being reported somewhere?
Well, but I to his point, like,
no,
are you not reaching out?
No way.
You're not reaching out to Brian Kelly.
No way.
Bro, come on.
You can't.
Why? Why can't you?
Because I think did you see the stories about, did you see that they're saying in his time at LSU, he played over 200 rounds of golf? Do you know how hard it is to play 200 rounds of golf in, what was he there, 3 years? Do you know how difficult that is? Like, he was not trying.
I mean, Buddy at Auburn showed it's possible.
Good Lord.
Bro, he's played so much golf that they're asking Golish if he's going to play golf, dude. I mean, come on.
BK is too Southern for Happy Valley. Welcome.
Family.
Probably right about You're such a right ass conundrum. That's such a good
Family.
Oh, it took a second, but when it hit. Monty should love BK even more now. Boy, I would love it if he went to Penn State. TJ Beck, what's up, TJ? How you been, man? Boys, you know that Penn State fallback is Mike Gundy. Yes.
Yeah, the mullet, dude.
Yes. Rock and rant. Rock, can I ask you a question? You don't really think you should be in over the beloved. So another acquaintance of mine who is a die-hard Notre Dame fan today said to me, oh yeah, Miami's better than we are in September. And that's exactly, we need to adjudicate this before the rankings come out, but isn't the answer obvious for Penn State? Be innovative. Joe Pa AI, first AI head coach. Oh my God. PJ Fleck?
Nah. No way. No way.
Coach Minnesota. The guy can't coach Minnesota. Oh,
you're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Neil Brown needs fired. According to Pete the Mole, Neil Brown is finalizing a 5-year deal to be the next head coach at Penn State. Oh, no, sorry. That's pronounced North Texas.
They let you down.
Sorry, I was kidding. Neil Brown going to be the next head coach at North Texas. That's a really good hire for North Texas. I think Neil Brown is better than we saw at West Virginia. We'll find out. Maybe he's meant for North Texas. Wow, look at all the flowers coming in. Our good friend, our good friend Robert hits me on text message and said, "You've always been spot on. Your trust me, bro sources actually are real bros who give you real information. Congratulations on the Kalani story." Love it. Love it. That's incredible.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Steely, what's up, my guy? 190K subscribers, Monty. Congratulations. Steely, do you believe that Brian Hartline's a candidate at Penn State? Few people know Penn State better than Steely. I don't believe that he is. I don't believe he's a candidate. I just don't. And PJ Fleck is that a hire for Penn State? Like, that would be, listen, again, if, and I don't know that I should bring up speculation. I really don't, because I hate doing it. But I know of multiple Big Ten coaches who have said no, who have said no. And when you look at Brett Bielema is one of them, who pulled his name out according to our sources. Kirk Cignetti signed an extension they were going to pursue. And I just don't know that.
Well, I win. Google me.
My obviously Matt Rule. And I'm really hesitant, because I think one of the things that's really critical is that when you look at the two other guys whose names have come up, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin has been somebody that I've heard multiple times. And I have also heard from multiple people, Greg Schiano is somebody that Penn State considered and then did not reach out to. I just don't know that. Is Luke Fickell a win for Penn State? No, I think Matt Campbell is far more. Matt Campbell at Iowa State, who I think we talked about on this show a month ago, that's a bigger win. I love Luke Fickell, but he has really struggled. Now, there are a lot of people who believe he's had no money to spend on players, that they kind of reneged on their original promise of a cash investment, which is what got him out of Cincinnati. But I think we've talked about Matt Campbell multiple times. Is Matt Campbell willing to spend the money on NIL it takes? Not to be a red ass. Not to be a red ass. But have we not had this conversation on our show about guys who talk about cutting player NIL deals to keep them coming back to Iowa State?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a conversation that you want to have there? Because I don't think it is.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Scoop, leave PJ alone. Go Gophers. Are you a Gopher fan? Do you like PJ Fleck? That's interesting. You got to tell me about that, Scoop. App. He makes apps and stuff. Aranda to Eastern New Mexico. Bryles to Penn State. Oh my God. Can you imagine our Bryles to Penn State? He just got hired at some nowhere thing. Pierre says Jedfish might put in a call to Penn State. He can't stay anywhere no longer than 2 years. Dude, he has made it clear he wants to be at Washington. He has made that very clear. Fickle has to be hurt by academic standards at Wisconsin. I don't think so. They have not spent the requisite money to build that program. They just haven't. Brady 9561, who's got his dog in the woods, the newest member of the Monty Show. Brady, thank you so much for your support, you guys. That really helps us grow. Obviously, I just spent big money on lights because my light broke in the studio.
Nice light.
Shouty, is Texas in?
Oh,
is Texas in? I don't know. Fickle doesn't tickle the Penn State cucumber. Isn't that a cucumber emoji?
Yeah, I think that was a pickle reference, though.
It's a pickle.
He wanted to rhyme it all and everything.
D. Rochette. What's up, Rochette? Good to see you. Well, look at you with a Wisconsin now. Monty was also the first to call Utah to the Big 12. He's the best media by 2 hours. He beat the media. I did. I don't, again, I will just say this repeatedly. I don't talk about things that I don't know about. I just do not. We have been over this many multitudes of times. The best relationships are relationships that are long-standing. And it's one of those things that I think is really important, that you don't talk about things that you don't know about, because it is really important. And it is very interesting to me anyway. Like all the people that were reporting, well, Kalani's going to sleep on it. He didn't sleep on it. They met last night. There was no sleeping on it.
Oh, he don't know nothing.
Right? Like these guys that are like, oh, he flew back to Penn State. Kalani Sitake never flew to Penn State. Penn State came and saw Kalani. He did not fly back to Penn State. It's wild to me how many just people like, oh, Brian Santiago had to go back to the church and beg for money. The church isn't going to give you money to pay a football coach. BYU has a budget for football. BYU has more than enough money for football. They're profitable. This idea that, the athletic department went hat in hand begging the apostles, like, bro, do you guys have any idea do you guys have any idea what you're talking about? You have no idea what you're talking. That's not how culture at BYU works. I think the church loves the idea of BYU football being a marketing arm for their operations, for their gospel, for their, in no way, shape, or form is any of the quorum or the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints like, well, we got to keep Kalani Sitake. What are we going to do? All right, open up more like the tithing jokes. Like, you guys just don't. That's so funny to me.
Yeah.
Stadium guy James, who I believe said Kalani was gone yesterday on the show. I'll go ahead and make a bold prediction. If Neil Brown does go to North Texas, Hoss Hengy. All right, let's go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Will transfer from Oak State to North Texas because he's a running QB.
Wow. Wow, dude.
And I want that known.
Wow.
Oh, man. Big Blue Horses. What's up, dude? Brian Daboll to Penn State. I think he's the guy that makes the most sense to me. I think he's made the most sense to me since the beginning of time. So once he got fired and they hadn't hired somebody, I just can't believe. How do you let him get away to UCLA? Bob Chesney. How do you let him get away? Because, and again, I think it's why McShay, I'm a big Todd McShay believer. I should watch his show. I don't, because I just don't have time during the day. Not that I'm doing anything else during the day that's making me any money right now. Anyway, the point is, that's a bitter comment. The point is, Bob Chesney, I'm pretty sure, is a Sexton client. Wait. Chip Kelly to Penn State. Oh my God. That would be terrible. James, he is going to UNT, and I think the UNT current QB will follow Morris to Oak State. Correct. I would agree with that. I'm glad Kalani got his mind right because he would have been fired right behind Pat Kraft in 3 years.
Sure.
Kalani Sitake is a very good football coach. I don't think there's any chance. Scoop. Father was University of Minnesota professor for 34 years. I grew up with the season tickets to go for football and hockey. Amazing, dude. Amazing. Love that. Eric, Penn State gone have to settle for Daboll. That's a pretty good settle. Scoop, been a Gopher fan since the 60s. Easy. You're going to age yourself there, Gramps. JT, losing the game this Saturday, but that is expected, and it's the long term that's important. Keeping this staff together, greatly improving recruiting are the important things. Their recruiting class, I think BYU's recruiting class it might be the best recruiting class ever at BYU. Might be the best recruiting class ever. Nader Tots, what's up, Tots? If Penn State wants a Mormon coach, Bronco Mendenhall or Ken Niumatalolo are coaching G5s and would probably make the jump. I don't know that they do, though. I think they want the best coach available. Don't mean to sidetrack from college football, but is this Giannis to Portland talk real or just smoke? Oh, it's real. 100% it's real. I think it is you can see his frustration in Milwaukee. Did you guys see him? He got nuts all over his face the other night.
He got nuts all over his face.
How often do you see him get dunked on?
Macaque.
Like, not a lot. Eric, I agree. Why would Chesney take that job? The stadium move helps make UCLA a better job. I don't think it does. This is a really interesting discussion because the coaching carousel thing, who won the coaching carousel? I don't think anything short of somebody taking the UCLA job and them competing for a Big Ten championship makes that a better job. Because UCLA has one of the best shoe and apparel deals with the Jordan brand that is in college sports. They get great money. They get great product. They get great promotion. The stadium situation, is it a better deal at SoFi? I think it probably is. They're losing their ass at the Rose Bowl just because nobody goes to the Rose Bowl for UCLA football, and nobody goes to the Rose Bowl for the Rose Bowl because it's not a great place to watch a game. If we're being honest, the Rose Bowl is hard to get to. I know I've detailed this. Hard to get to. Hard to get from. It's impossible to get out of there. You can't get an Uber out of there. The people that live around there, the Rose Bowl, for those of you who don't know, is in a neighborhood. It is a big-ass stadium in a neighborhood. The people don't want you there. And the stadium's too big. And UCLA does not draw, so it looks empty. It's old. It's not renovated, even though there's a plan. Like, it's just not making them money. So now you go to SoFi, you can fill the lower bowl at SoFi. It's in Inglewood. It's an NFL stadium. You have all kinds of signage and branding deals. You have money-making opportunities. You can get shuttles from campus. I think Westwood to Inglewood is probably 10-ish miles. You can get shuttles from campus to SoFi back. You don't have to worry about kids drinking, drugging, smoking weed, getting in a car. You don't have to worry about that. It's in Los Angeles. And I know you think it doesn't matter, but it's sunsets and oceans and beaches and hot chicks. And it gives recruits an opportunity to stay in the city and to play ball in an NFL stadium. It matters. And Nike's going to love that. Jordan's going to love that. Like, it makes a big difference.
It matters, bro.
It matters. From that perspective, I think that really helps. If you go in there and you're the same old Chip Kelly, nobody's Deshaun Foster thing, nobody's going to go, so it doesn't matter.
We keeping a buck right now, we ass.
Bob Chesney, I am a huge believer. You give that guy money and resources, he's going to win games. I love Bob Chesney as yeah, I do. I love him as a football coach. But are we prepared at UCLA? And they say they are. But are we prepared at UCLA to spend $300 to $400 million a year on football? Because that's what it's going to take. Welcome to the world, bruh. That's what it's going to take, brah. We don't say brah anymore. Jake and I have decided it's brah.
Yeah, it's brah.
Bruh.
You know, I think Penn State should hire Mark Stoops.
Okay. You had done so well.
Is this going to be an Oak State James Day? You just brought up Hoss Hengy. Now Mark Stoops is an elite coach.
You take your deuce. You don't sit there and look at it. You flush it and move on.
So why didn't Oaks, or, well, you're not an Oak State fan, but why hasn't TCU fired Sonny Dykes? We're waiting for your answer. We're
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
I don't know how to answer it either. I don't know. Brian Kelly to the new Penn State Stadium.
He has our full respect.
Chip Kelly in another cold weather situation.
Yeah, seriously.
Thanks, brah. GTI, Brandon, it's the best recruiting class ever at BYU. You are never wrong, Monty. I think it's close, dude. I think it's close. I really do. Brady for $5. Now a member, you have been pretty spot on. Kudos, Monty. Oh, thank you, Brady. That's very nice of you to say, and we appreciate the $5. I know everybody's like, oh, fat ass doesn't know anything. I crossed the 50 pounds loss barrier today. So
all I have in this world is my balls
and
my word.
And they're smaller.
For no one.
And now they're smaller. We work very hard to be right. Not first right. And now everybody, and I appreciate everybody doing it. Everybody is texting. Marcus is sending me all the national guys texting that Kalani Sitake, or tweeting that Kalani Sitake personally called Penn State. I know.
I want to thank me for having no days off.
It's awesome, dude. I love being right. It is when I cannot explain to you how gratifying it is that and now it's really turning into really anything Big 12 related, and a couple Notre Dame, a couple of other corners of the world, anything in TV. People will call us when a story's going on. And they will be like, hey, I want you hey, you were talking about, do you want...
Hey, Monty.
And I want you guys to know the process is, hey, well, I appreciate the information. Who can I call to double verify that? And 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, well, you can't tell them you got the number from me. And
that's find out.
That's how you build networks. That's how we do it. Not even trying to hide, you know. Bryce, what's up, Bryce? Good to see you. Is it possible Penn State jumped the gun on firing James Franklin?
Bro, is it possible? I think it's definitively yes that they did.
Oh, look. Oh, we are not getting Kalani Sitake. I told you 3 weeks ago, Monty.
Oh.
Stay hard. Stay hard.
Better send those refunds.
Hey, Penn State Sports Talk 7028. Hey, maybe you should go to Crumble Cookie in your town so that you guys can get in touch with the CEO. What do you think?
I think I'm a huge fan.
I told you 3 weeks ago, Monty. I'm telling you, when we get knuckle deep on a coach, we don't let him go.
Gotta be a lonely life on Epstein Island, doesn't it, bud? I love it. Yesterday, you're in here like, it's over. It's over. It's all over. No, Monty, you're stupid. Fat boy, you don't know anything. Have another donut, Monty.
Boycott Crumble Cookie. Oh, losing to BYU makes no sense. What is he drinking?
Bro.
I don't want Mark Stoops. Dude, you're in full meltdown mode now. Makes no sense. This guy chose BYU over us. BYU.
Kalani don't like, no, never mind.
Dude, BYU is nowhere near the state of Pennsylvania. This is crazy. Yeah, because you guys are ass.
We know.
Dude, we've been telling you this for months, and now you want to listen.
But this is the bro, and this is what these bigots do. These are the guys who are like, God damn it. How are you choosing those magic underpants over being knuckle deep, boy?
And bro chose Vatek after you fired him. Does that make you feel better too?
Here, let me break some news to all the folks in Happy Ending Valley. Provo, Utah is a great place to live. And when you are a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's a great place to live. I don't care what your religious belief is. It's a great place to play football.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
It's a great place to coach football.
Program.
And now, I know you might not know this. Kalani's got a pretty big family. And he is dedicated about 99% of his life to his family and 1% to being a football coach. It's a great place to raise a family. Family. Thank you. It's a great place to raise a
Family.
You can keep running out this line. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Joe, how do you choose funk? Bro, I've tried to tell Penn State fans this. I was on the radio in Philadelphia today talking about this, and you just don't understand. It's not about caffeinated beverages. It's about a lifestyle. Kalani Sitake's dream job is BYU. He is a BYU man in his soul. And you believed he was going to leave BYU to go to Penn State. I told you this 3 weeks ago. He's not going to Penn State.
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person?
I told you yesterday. Like everything I said on this show yesterday came true today. He was never taking that job. My words yesterday, he's leveraging Penn State to get the operational setup that he has envisioned at BYU. And that's
I'm sorry, I'm not to interrupt you. Do I get credit? We were close yesterday. Guys want to eat cookies and not Hershey's. Bro, you couldn't have been more wrong, bro.
You were.
What do you mean? Dude.
I don't know how to break it to you, bud. You were never close. Whoa. Utah got nothing. I love Vegas, and that's the place to be. Never been to Utah and never will. Oh. And I love your passion for it. Joey, Penn State would beg to have Jim Moore at this point. Let's go. Colorado State's putting strays on Penn State. It's how you know life is good. Lou Holtz to Penn State. They love 99-year-old Joe.
Wow.
But man, let me
Damn.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Even Bill O'Brien is saving so much money by staying in Boston, New England area with his family.
Dude, bro. Dude, you just got a Joe Pa joke dropped on your head, dude. I'm sorry you're taking all this flack, but sorry, not sorry, dude. You earned this.
Penn State should go after Deshaun Foster. Heard he's available.
Yeah.
Scoop, new Penn State coach is Ben Dover.
Damn.
Man, let me tell you something. That guy knows how to drive down the field. Ho ho!
Wow, bro.
Hugh Janus.
Okay, should probably move on. Callum, Jimbo Fisher or Brian Kelly to Penn State. I think it's Brian Dable. I do. Dale Donuts. Hello. Nice bike, bro. Should we all reach out to Penn State fans and invite them to buy some crumble cookies? Love it. Love it. Mega Boy. Okay. I mean, look, Mega Boy, I'm here. Do you think Penn State reached out to Brent Key? I do. I think, and I don't know where that, I saw an article. I believe it. And let me see if I can, it might've been on 3. But I am pretty certain that they've reached out to everybody that they could get their hands on. And Penn State is, and I'll just continue to say it, Penn State's not an attractive job, man. It really is not an attractive job. So, Gabriel, our newest member of the Monty Show. Appreciate everybody joining our membership. It really does help the show grow. Whoa. Sup, Greg? Dude. Still no pitching signings for the Cubs. Whoa, timeout. I visited Utah a few years ago. The area near Utah's stadium and BYU Stadium is so beautiful. The Salt Lake City VA is a short distance from Rice Eccles. Walking distance. I would consider moving there. It's amazing. It's amazing. We want Brent Key. Still do. I'll take him over Crumble Cookie Monster Man. Okay.
Dude, you're so bitter, dude. You are so bitter.
I mean, has it sunk in yet that you have no idea what's going on at Penn State? Like, is that? I mean,
have you come to grips with the fact that you are totally in the dark about who they're hiring?
I want credit. I told you 3 weeks ago that Nick Saban was coming to Penn State.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Yeah, don't move here. Utah sucks.
Yeah, Utah's garbage, dude. You don't need to move there, dude. Come on.
Today's the first day I was walking my dog before the show. I always, after my terrible afternoon, I've had a couple of really bad days I was walking my dog today. It is so cold in Seattle. Today's the first day I was like, dude, where's the snow? Oh, it's in Utah. That's right.
Yeah.
Today's the first day I did that. And Utah's great. I'm telling you. I as I've talked about, I get a Okay, here. This is too much. Here's another one. I pick up I'm not even going to say this guy's name because he's a former football player in the state of Utah. Hey, Monty, just texting, long time no hear from. I want you to know I followed the show closely. And while I always watch, I rarely agree with the discourse on your show. But I really appreciate your reporting and the idea that you beat the national media by a full 36 hours on this story is impressive. Thanks for being accurate and first. I appreciate the flowers. A huge win for BYU, bigger win for the Big 12. Huge win for the Big 12. Because I think again, and if you're just tuning in, we are talking about the fact that Kalani Sitake stays at BYU today. Sources have told us that Kalani Sitake is getting a deal that will near $9 million a year in average annual value, and that total coaching and staff compensation will approach $18 million at BYU, which is a number that is unbelievable. Kalani Sitake, we have a typo. The first ever typo in a banner. Not true. Let me go ahead and fix that.
We keeping a book right now. We ass.
That drives me crazy. Typos. As Jake is aware. Kalani Sitake and AD Brian Santiago held a long meeting. And it included a quote unquote frank discussion where I'm not going to say they had it out, but as I told you yesterday, Kalani made it very clear that he needed control of the football department, which he did not have. Let that sink in. He's got a GM. He's got a director of football operations. He's obviously his assistants. They did not have control administratively or of their budget. And it caused issues. I am told that was a big part of this fissure that was between Kalani and BYU. I am told that Kalani Sitake now has full control of and administration of the budget in the football department. Brian Santiago no longer has final say. That is now in Kalani Sitake's hands about how money in the BYU football department is spent. It is still, as it has always been and likely will always be, a collaborative effort. But Kalani Sitake now it has full control of his budget and final say. And as we reported, that meeting was very pointed. The conversations were very pointed. That language is what's being added to a new contract that should be finalized tonight or at the latest tomorrow. But it's done. Kalani Sitake is staying at BYU. He remains, and I think it's important to point this out, Kalani remains focused on winning Saturday. Everything else will handle itself as we rapidly approach the announcement of the college football playoff rankings. But Kalani Sitake is laser focused on beating Texas Tech on Saturday, as he has been. And again, that's why I tell you, all these people talking about how Kalani got on a plane and flew back to Penn State, never happened. How Kalani Sitake had agreed to take the job, that never happened. Kalani Sitake never told Penn State, I am taking the job. He never said that. He never, there's all this reporting from media members. On3, I believe, had a report saying that Kalani Sitake has backed away, that he had accepted the job and now he has backed away from his word. That never happened. That never happened. Sources really close to that situation told me point blank, he said he needed to sit with the offer and he would get back to Penn State. Kalani took that offer, went to the administration at BYU and said, hey, I want to be here, but to stay here, here's what we need. And Brian Santiago did not want to give in to, I am told, did not want to give in to Kalani Sitake's wishes, did not want to give up control of the football department and its budget. And that was why things, and you notice how aggressively things got reported. Things were close early yesterday. I think that's as close as Penn State got to getting a yes from Kalani Sitake. But as the day went on and then the meeting with Brian Santiago happened, that's when everything came to an end. So the idea that Kalani slept on it and then made it, that never happened. They hammered this out last night. Brian Santiago stepped back because, as I told you, it got taken away from him. And I know that there's going to be probably very little that's going to come out from Provo that's going to say, yes, here's exactly what happened. I highly doubt that happens. My sources told me Brian Santiago was essentially leapt over. Kalani said, I am not going to deal with this. I am going to go to these, and I don't want to name the people, but he went to 3 people above Brian Santiago. And there was an intermediary exchange over the last couple of days. Kalani and Brian got into a room last night, talked things out in a frank discussion, and that's when this was done, was last night. There was no deep prayer had overnight while Kalani's like, fuck off. This idea that, excuse my French, this idea that Kalani had deep prayer all night long. And I saw 2 reports today that he didn't get a wink of sleep because he was deep in prayer. That never happened. It never happened. He's got a conference championship game to win Saturday. Do you think he's not sleeping on the Monday into Tuesday? You think he's just not sleeping because he's deep in prayer? That's not how being deep in prayer works, friends. If you're deep in prayer, whoever your God is, you hand those issues to your God and you sleep well. You don't stay up all night deep in prayer when you have a conference championship game to win. You handle your faith and you handle football. You prepare your team and you go play a football game. And that's exactly what Kalani has done all week long. So, we could sit here and we can talk around this stuff, but I'm telling you, it's wild. The Chad Carter coughs, reads Kalani staying at BYU, takes deep breath before trolling Penn State.
I'm not trying, Donnie. I told you 3 weeks ago. Polynesian pipeline to Penn State, baby.
Well,
he would never stay in Provo. Pennsylvania is way better. Okay.
David Persons. Well, TCU managed to qualify for the toilet bowl. And I think any of us who know, Sonny Dykes is a good dude. He is a really good dude. He can't, if we're serious about winning, he can't be the football coach at TCU. Unfortunately, because I really like Sonny Dykes. But Sonny has not met the expectation in Fort Worth, if we're being totally honest.
Nope. So, not even close.
Stadium guy James David, can you please pray that they go to the Pop-Tart Bowl? I'm planning on going to see my parents in Florida December 26th through the 29th. It would work out perfect for my wife and I.
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
You driving the shit box down, or what are we doing here?
Wait, did TJ Beck say that the Tosh Lapoy hire is... How many am I going to get right? How many am I going to get right? Is Tosh Lapoy official? Bruh? Is that right? Please let that be right. Yeah, it is official. Cal is working to finalize a deal to make Tosh Lapoy its next head coach.
Dangerous misinformation. The podcast has been accused of spreading dangerous misinformation.
Another one. Just add it to the list, dude. I know that we don't know anybody. We're ass. We're terrible. We only like crumble cookie. We hate Utah. We hate BYU. We're an SEC Big 12
I'm a
show.
BYU fan. I'm a BYU fan.
And you're dying and you're Mormon. It's just all these things, dude. It's just all these things. And, I really want to thank everybody involved in the reporting, the last day and a half. And I couldn't have done it without you guys. And, we'll just continue to play inappropriate drops over the loudspeaker for everyone's kids to listen to. That's what we do here, Yeah.
Stop messaging me on LinkedIn.
We don't take any shit.
Mike on LinkedIn Messenger. Mike, hey, I see you get a lot of comments on YouTube. I just thought I'd message you here so you saw it. I'm not going to read it, Mike. It's fucking LinkedIn. I'm not reading your comment on LinkedIn on the show, Mike.
Dude,
I'm not doing it.
Humans trying to control their little worlds.
There's a line, and LinkedIn's on the other side of it.
Yeah. Is anybody really on LinkedIn still? Is that still a thing? Like,
oh my God, you guys are unbelievable. I'm messaging you here so you'll see it.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
And it's a Brian Daboll to Penn State take. Like, it's a full-on take about Brian Day. I'm not reading it on the show, bruh. I'm not doing it. Bruh.
I don't break the rules because it's illegal.
Hey, Gumby, fire Tosh Lapoy.
Yeah.
30 years. He's going to be a good coach. I think he's good. Can he recruit? Can he? And now we find out about your guy, Dan Lanning, because he's lost Will Stein, offensive coordinator, and now he's lost Tosh Lapoy, defensive coordinator.
See what it's about, bro. Brah.
Jake, how confident are you he can deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not going to be easy, obviously. I mean, I think you got to find, obviously you're going to figure out who becomes available and what's what, and, who you can hire and who you can't hire. I think that's what every great program inevitably goes through. But at the same time, like, you have a situation where Dan Lanning's built, a program that I think that everybody wants to be a part of. I think it's definitely one that's relevant, definitely one that's in the rankings consistently. And I think that will make it easier for Dan to go out and get a DC OC combination that works for him. I think obviously the questions around, Dante Moore, and is he going to be coming back? Is he an NFL guy? I think we've talked a lot about that he should come back, but obviously that's going to impact, who wants to be the OC at Oregon. And then it goes without saying that the recruiting class for Dan Lanning has to be elite. But again, kids want to play for DCs and OCs that they know are going to create a system that, inevitably is catered to their strengths more than their weaknesses. And they want to know that they're going to be developed. So I just think that how worried am I about it? I mean, I wouldn't even say that I'm worried about it. I do think that, we've got to. No, I mean, I think that this is what happens. I mean, we saw this in the NFL with Detroit. We see this with a lot of great programs, and I think, Nick Saban is the GOAT of this. Hey, I've developed great coordinators and great support staff, and now they're going to take their own jobs. Now I got to replace it. So to your point, this is the next test for Dan Lanning. I think that all great head coaches, Kirby is in this, obviously. Lane Kiffin is in this, Ryan Day. All great head coaches have a system in place to develop the guys or the gals, the staff that are below their OC and DC so that they can continue to just promote from within. That is the best way to go about it. Hey, I'm going to develop people, and then when those people leave, I've got the next man up mentality. That's how you have to do it. So we'll see. We'll see if he's been doing that.
Okay. I've got, and I should just stop reading them, but Chad Carter sent me the best one. I've got now 71 messages on LinkedIn. I'm not joking. Chad Carter says, I'm trying to reach you regarding your car's extended warranty.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let's go over here. Okay, said car is this car here that Chad Carter's reaching out about the extended warranty. Just want to make sure that, we're all on the same page about not this car, but this car here for old Monty.
That's right. Jackson says, hey, Monty, do you need funding for your business?
Hey, oh, yeah, I'm a seed investor, man.
Oh, my God.
You go with me and your business is going to be rich in like 2 seconds.
Oh, it's so good. Dude, you guys make this show amazing.
Yeah, right. Wait a second. Deep in prayer. What is this? I personally believe that the Knuckle Deep Boys sent me a contract and Brian Santiago needs to review it, and we need to make sure we're on the same page about what I need. But sometimes we don't have Gatorade coolers, and such as in like other programs need them. That's what happened.
Kurt Meyer says, wow, Jake, you have shoes covered. What about the purses? Don't, God damn it.
Wow, bro. Dude, Kurt, really, bro? We have great vibes today, and you just dropped a purse bomb on Monty.
We'll talk about it in an hour. I was walking the dog today, And you guys know now that I wear a man bag. We'll talk. It's so funny you said that, Kurt.
A big.
I got trolled hard on the streets of Seattle today. We'll talk about it. Bruh.
Yeah, right?
Would Brent Key be a good fit at Penn State? Yes, absolutely. I think he would. Mike Smith, Scott Frost fired, Mike Gundy hired. Merry Christmas, Gabriel. Oh my God. Does Mike Gundy ever coach again? Does Brian Kelly ever coach again?
Yeah, Brian Kelly.
I think with all these golf things, and would you think he will coach again?
Yeah, he'll coach again. Yep.
I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. Dash Conrad. Can Dan Mullen get UNLV over the hump? Boise has owned them. Well, the last several years, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. And Dan's had some pointed conversations with the media this week. I think this is going to be a great weekend of football. I think he can. I really like Dan Mullen and what he's done there. You know what I think is interesting about Dan Mullen? Listen to how he's embraced Allegiant. Listen to how he is, because there's a lot of UNLV fans that don't love the setup there. Our guy, oh my God, his name went right out of my head. Anyway, there's a lot of guys who don't like the stadium setup at Allegiant. He's embraced it. I think he's in a great spot. Geoff, great vibes here at work in the Cougar Nation. Sitake Field has a nice ring to it in the not too distant future.
Finally.
Wow. Geoff. Sitake Field.
Back is broken.
He was never lead. Phil Venzer, thank you. Good Lord. Angry Phil, yeah. Phil's talked about it. You know. Oak State James, I will stick to the original bet. Both the Bills and Chiefs have to make the playoffs. I don't think that will happen.
Okay, we need to talk about this. Okay. BDM is back in the chat. 3 above the current comment.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's back in the chat here.
Oh, there he is. What's up, BDM? Good to see you, bud. He's been sending me videos.
But he's also been asking you about a shirt. Send me a 3X large Buffalo Bills hoodie. Now, Timothy, good Christian behavior. You can be the Christmas lesson to me. Okay, whatever the hell that means as usual. But listen, dude, this is not a charity.
No, and Cooper Flagg's better than Victor.
Yeah, by a lot.
What happened to Cooper Flagg sucks. Yeah, it turns out he's the youngest player in the history of the NBA to score 35 points. He sucks.
He's Garbo.
Allegiant is great, and look at our NIL cash cow for next year. Seriously. Gabriel is a UCF fan. I am so desperate that if we hired Mike Gundy, I would actually cry tears of joy. Right? Joey says Monty's LinkedIn account is now trending. You guys actually are pretty funny on this one. Devin says, hey, whoa. Spam call coming in. Bro, what are we doing?
It's probably a car warranty call. Maybe you should take it.
Yeah, right. Hey, Monty, I am giving you $258 million from Nigeria's. I can't say that word. I cannot say that word. No, I cannot say that. And you will not speak those words in my LinkedIn inbox.
Go play intramurals, brother.
Essentially, hey, from the king of Nigeria in the National Bank of Nigeria, I just need you to send me $5,000 so I can wire it to you.
Can you do something for me?
The old African bank scam.
Yeah.
You know, be better. At least don't be a jerk. Cooper Flagg better than Victor. I agree. Big Daddy Magic's going to find you if you keep saying that.